Hello and welcome, I'm Ken Gowdy from Saxophone Comprehensive, and in this video we will look at Key Leaves Gap Cap, which is basically a saxophone end plug with some unique features. The Gap Cap is made for the alto or tenor saxophone and comes in satin gold, frost silver and emerald green. It has an air gap which almost covers the entire circumference of the end plug to allow air to enter the saxophone. This in turn will cause the saxophone to dry out better and reduce the possibility of getting sticky keys and should prolong the life of the pads. If you go to the website, you will find a comparison picture of tone holes with or without using this product. It has a spring sidewall which allows the Gap Cap to fit all brands of saxophones within the product type, whether that is an alto saxophone or a tenor saxophone. To attach it to the saxophone, simply squeeze in the spring sidewall and slide it into the net socket as you would any other end plug. When you release the spring sidewall, it will stay in place. The height of the Gap Cap can be adjusted a great deal, but if you extend it too much, there is a white indicator on the screw thread indicating that you have extended it too much. There is also an optional locking nut so you can lock the cap in the ideal position for your case. As you can see, the Gap Cap extends from around 20mm to 45mm in comparison to my Selma end plug, which is at a constant height of 24mm from the end of the saxophone. The end plug is an essential piece of equipment for storing and transporting your saxophone in its case. Without it, the saxophone could move about in the case, resulting in damage to the mechanism, especially the octave key mechanism pulse, which sticks out at the top. The end cap will protect this and preserve the circular shape of the neck socket. If you find yourself with a case that does not secure your saxophone safely because there is a gap between the end plug and the interior wall of the case, then obviously you could fill the gap with a piece of cloth or cork to secure the saxophone, but better still, you could simply adjust the Gap Cap to fit the case. Also, if you have the optional locking nut, you can lock it in place so that you do not need to adjust it every time you put your saxophone away. Lastly, the Gap Cap does not sit rigidly in the saxophone, but due to the spring sidewall will move to the side under pressure, which means that it can also act as a shock absorber if the case were ever knocked or dropped. So having looked briefly at the features of the Gap Cap, what do I think of this product? Just looking at it, you could tell it's a well-designed, professionally packaged product that has made improvements on the ordinary end plug. In my opinion, the adjustability of the Gap Cap is its best feature and therefore will be of great benefit to those who have saxophones that do not sit well in their cases. Having an end plug to fit all brands of saxophones is a good idea. When I put the end plug that came with my Selma saxophone into the net socket, it goes in easily and comes out easily and has just enough outward pressure from the springs on the side to keep the end plug in place. However, since the Gap Cap is designed to fit all brands of saxophones, this means that the spring sidewall would have to move to accommodate all neck sockets. When I insert the Gap Cap into my Selma alto saxophone, I have to squeeze the spring sidewall a lot before it's able to slide into the saxophone, which obviously means there would be a continual outward pressure from the spring sidewall on the neck socket as it tries to return to its normal position. This outward pressure is a lot more than my usual end plug and makes me wonder whether the outward force exerted by the spring wall will eventually distort the shape of the neck socket over time, making the circular hole bigger. But this is just my concern, and maybe the Gap Cap fits your brand of saxophone better. Having an air gap in the end plug is obviously beneficial, especially to those who do not leave their saxophone out to air dry before storing it away. Personally, I only put my saxophone in its case when transporting it. Usually it stays on a stand, which creates its own problems of attracting dust. Lastly, I have to wonder whether the shock absorber aspect would really have a substantial effect on reducing the impact on the saxophone from a knock to the case. As was said, there were pictures on the manufacturer's website showing a comparison of the effects of the air gap of this product on the tone holes, but I could not find information on any shock absorption tests, so the buyer would have to make their own minds up on this aspect. Nevertheless, overall, I think it's a great product. especially for those that have saxophone cases that they love and who want to ensure that the saxophone sits securely within it. Well, hopefully you found this video helpful and informative, and if you did, as usual, give it a like and share it with your friends. And if you're not yet a subscriber, then consider subscribing to this channel. And if you have bought one of these products, then let us know in the comments what you think about it. And I shall see you soon in the next video. Bye-bye.